Hey y'all, I'm Kristen.
And I'm Bailey.
Welcome to Living on a Prayer.
We're two best friends who are here to keep it real and relatable.
Through life's hills and valleys, we're here to remind you we're all just living on a prayer. Before we begin, we want to issue a trigger warning. In this episode, we will be discussing sensitive topics, including alcohol addiction, drug addiction, and suicide. These subjects can be deeply emotional and may be distressing for some listeners.
If you or someone you know is struggling with these issues, please prioritize your mental and emotional well-being. Feel free to pause, skip, or take a break from this episode if needed. You are not alone, and there is help and support available.
If you need immediate assistance, please reach out to a trusted friend, family member, or contact a professional support service. Remember, it's okay to ask for help and your feelings are valid.
Thank you for taking care of yourself, and we're grateful to have you with us today.
All right, welcome back. This is part two.
Part two to our series.
Yes, of the Dryoak.
The Dryoak series.
I know we mentioned it in the previous episode, but now we have Cayla.
Hello.
Wifey of Taylor.
We talked a lot about her on the last episode.
So
now we get to hear
we
her
heard
side.
a little bit about Cayla and her walk through Taylor's journey, but we really want to hear from her side as a supporter, you know, what that walk looked like for her as a supporter. Bailey and I both have family members that have struggled with addiction, and so we've been on that side.
On her side.
Yeah. In a totally different way and in a different light, but we are so grateful that you're here to share your story.
This side is just as important to have that kind of support, because when you're walking through it, you feel alone too. Yeah. And you feel completely lost and just like
a little helpless of what to do and how to navigate it.
Yeah. So to have her sharing her side and her story is just so like awesome. Like I wish I would have had someone like that at the time when I was going through it. So we're proud of you too for doing it.
Yeah. So give us a little intro of
tell us who you are.
Who you are. Tell us about you first.
Yeah. Who are you, girl?
So I am. Are we saying a full name?
Yeah. Tell us a full name.
So I am Cayla Ohler. I am married to Taylor. We have two kids, Sophia and River. So they are 11 and 5. But I currently am like jack of all trades. I do marketing. Raise the kids. Now we're doing stuff with Dryoak. So it's always good, and I've always been that type of person that has always just taken on so much, and I feel like I not hide it well, or like I
do it well.
You carry it well.
I carry it well. That's the word. Yes.
Yeah, you carry it well.
So I am currently just kind of doing all of that and dabbling in everything, and I'm so grateful that at least where we are right now is just a place like we have finally gotten to that place where I can breathe, you know. It's like from our journey and everything that we went through, like I would do it all over again. So that's kind of, I raised the kids while Taylor's gone at work, and like I said, just kind of dabbling in everything.
That's like superhero status.
Yeah.
I didn't realize how like long he was gone.
Yeah. It's 28. I know. It's hard. And like that was one thing which we're going to go into all this, but it's 28 days.
What he does.
So he's a captain.
We talked about it before we started the app.
Okay, well, tell us what he does.
So he's a captain offshore, and he's been working offshore since Sophia was 6 months old, maybe. So it's 28 days he's gone, like not just coming home for a little bit and then, I got to go back. Like we don't see him for 28 days. Sometimes it's longer than that if like they're running late or whatever. And then he's home for 28. So it's like just that in general is it was always a process, for us, because when he would get home, it's like we had so much to get done and like so much to make up for since he was gone for 28 days. So it's good. And then with all of his struggles and everything that we dealt with our story, that was really tough because it's like all this crap would happen in these 28 days.
Right.
And it's like, how do you like just let that go and you have no one to vent or even try to navigate all of this together, you know? Yeah. And then when he came back, it's like, okay, well, then it's like you missed him, but then it's like, okay, but you still did X, Y, Z. So it was just, it's a lot.
That's a lot.
It's a lot. So
we're going to get into this.
Yeah, we're going to get into it. So yeah, that's basically what I do now. I do a little bit of everything. And I'm so excited though, because I finally feel like out of all the jobs and careers and stuff that I've had, like I finally am living in my purpose and what I'm meant to do. And somebody pushed me into that, I feel like a couple years back, because a job and your purpose in life and I always say this, are two totally different things.
Amen.
Like, yes.
Gosh,
And it's like
if that ain't it.
it is. And I had so many things where I'm like, okay, you're never fulfilled and you don't know why. So yeah, I mean, I was a hairstylist, I did lash extensions, and I stayed at home. I'm like, oh, I want to be a stay-at-home mom and like be cutie and all that. And like, it's not. It is not cute. And then it was just kind of being
It's not.
it's not cute.
It's not. I'm thinking like
you don't have a bra on half
no,
the time.
it's not
like, it's
cute.
not cute.
It's
not.
dirty. And
So, and on top of like being kind of like everything that he needed through all of like, I was exhausted and I just mentally was not good. I had a lot of health issues that I kind of came in it kind of came to the surface. I guess this was like right before shit hit the fan with him, but I think it was stress, but I have, it's an autonomic nervous system disorder, which I have it intact now, which is great. But I think all of that like totally did not help. So I do think your surroundings and the things, how you handle things in life and the people you surround yourself with, it totally matters. Because when I was literally by myself, isolated, that was some of like the lowest points in my life.
Yeah,
like I was
for sure.
so depressed. I was overweight. I was everything. And I just I was spending money to try to get like new clothes to make me feel better. And it wasn't it. Right. It was like my marriage was falling apart. I had this face that was like all fake, you know?
Yeah.
So now we can get into the
feel
juice.
like you're like at a peaceful point is what you're saying.
Yes,
like your
yes.
career and like you feel like you're finally living your purpose out, which is a cool feeling.
I know, it's so cool. And I'm like, I would do everything over again
to get
if I knew that I would be here.
Yeah.
And it totally, it just, everything makes sense to me. And now I see, you know, with religion and my faith, we were both raised Catholic and I was raised Catholic, but I'm more, I guess you could say like just Christian. Cause there's certain things that I believe in now that I may not have and vice versa. But like, it's like, God is going to put you through the ringer and he is going to bring you through every single thing until you surrender. And then he is literally going to place you nice and quietly.
Provide.
And you're just like the weight that is lifted off of you. It's just a feeling that you can't explain.
Yeah.
You know?
Can't.
So no. So that's what we're here to do. It's like, we know everything that we went through and there's no more shame in it for us. I mean, for a while there was for me because I was just so insecure in who I was. And I thought I needed this big, like lavish lifestyle and all this stuff and everything that I didn't have as a child. It's like, I thought that I wanted that.
Yes.
And that's it. None of that compares to having like inner peace and just being content with where you are. Like, girl, I could go live on the street and I feel like I'd be like, let's do this. Yeah.
I love the street.
Like I always want, And I'm like, I even told Taylor this, like there was one point where we were like, oh, like let's get this nice car and this and that. And I'm like, I'm running that bitch until it's
right.
done,
Yeah.
you know? And I'm like, I don't care about that stuff anymore because
it's crazy how that switches.
It totally does. And I just think going through hard times like that, it makes you open your eyes to things.
Your perspective is totally different.
And
it just brings you to what matters.
Important. Yeah, I know. And I'm
important.
so glad that we got to that point when we did because of the age of our kids and like the things that they're seeing now.
Yes.
It's like, I wouldn't want them to kind of, remember, I mean, some of them, the oldest one does remember some stuff, but yeah, I'm thankful for the timing of everything. Yeah.
God's timing do be perfect.
I know.
He don't mess around.
It's always perfect, girl.
Okay, so take us a little bit through your walk with like, who you were when you and Taylor like first met and where your faith was and what you were interested in. And like, let's just go from there.
All right. So him and he may have talked about this. We started dating. Well, we met after Katrina. So it's like, that was another thing where like a huge storm, created something that kind of brought us together. He came to an all girls high school and he was like a little cutie boy, And I was like everybody, but I mean, when you're in a school with all girls, it's
the boys come in and like, hey, what up?
We met there. We never like dated or anything. We just rekindled in college. Like I don't know if we rekindled, it was on Facebook. I never thought anything of it. And that's what I think was cool, because as women, I feel like a lot of women are always trying to push these relationships. And a lot of times it's people that you don't expect, or like people that are right in front of you.
Yeah.
So, yeah, he wind up and he may have said this, he was a little tipsy, but he messaged me on Facebook, and
He
we
did
always
not tell us.
no, but I'll tell you.
Girl talk.
And he said, "You cute, I'm drunk." And I'm like, I don't know why the hell why did I respond to that? I don't know.
That was the first thing.
That was it.
Well, no, we knew each other prior to, but that was
but
like
that
the
was like
line.
the first message.
Yeah, like that's what like rekindled it. Yeah, and look
Maybe
where we are
you
now.
should give some people a chance on the Hinge. They be sending you weird stuff like that.
Like, you cute, I'm drunk.
Yeah, and I was like, okay, if I wouldn't have known who he was, I would have been like, dude, what the heck? Yeah,
Y'all,
no.
that is funny.
But I was like, oh, I think it was his birthday too, because I may have told him happy birthday, something. Anyway, we rekindled
This is
from
good.
there.
This
You
is
cute,
good.
I'm drunk.
Yeah. Wait, he told our kids this the other day, and Sophia's like, Mom, what?
You're
I'm
like,
like,
yep,
girl,
yep.
don't
is-
listen to your
yep.
mama. You get better than that, girl.
Yeah. You got
You
this.
answer to something, greater than that. But
She's like, well, that worked for you.
I know. We rekindled kind of from there, and we were just like, hey, let's hang out. Like, he was in college in Lafayette, and I'm like, yeah, I'm coming up there to hang out with my friends, whatever. So y'all, I go up there one weekend, ghosted me. Okay. Did he tell the story? No, probably not. Ghosted me. Okay. Nothing. And I'm like, dude, I came all the way up here, 2 hours away, no phone call, no text, no nothing. And I'm like, dude, this dude's a piece of work. Like, and I'm like, I'm done, whatever. I mean, you wasted my time. Well, come to find out, it was something to do with alcohol, to where he got in trouble that night, and he was not able to, he didn't have his phone, and it was
He
just
told
like a
us
whole
the
thing.
story.
Okay. All right.
She's trying to be nice.
I'm like,
She doesn't wanna say, like, he was in jail.
He was in jail.
Yeah,
He told
like
us.
disturbing the peace or some shit. And I'm like, dude. So I let it go. And I'm like, it was college, and like, I mean, he was in a fraternity, and he was just wild. So we started dating like shortly after that. I don't even really remember. I think it was just finally we hung out one time when he wasn't drunk, and it was just, I loved who he was sober. And
Yeah.
I always say that. And I think that's one of the reasons why I gave him so many chances in our marriage, when we were dating, all that. And so we would hang out. And there were times like when we first started dating that I would see certain things, and I'm like, like just spiraling and like blacking out. And I'm like, okay, do we always have to? But our culture and how we were raised, like,
Oh, yeah.
we used to party. Like, we would go, I would go crazy.
Everyone was blackout.
Yeah, we
around
all
you.
were.
Both of us were talking the other day about how, like, everybody's raising kids now, and
Yeah.
and it's crazy to think that your parents just like let you go to college, and
Yeah.
when you get there, it's like, I don't have anybody I'm going home to
Yep.
check and see
No.
if I've been drinking,
I
you know,
know.
and you're
Yeah.
fresh
I know.
18.
You're free.
and
I know.
everyone around you's doing it. You're going
Yeah.
to fraternities,
It was
sorority
cool
parties.
to be like, I
you're-
blacked out.
Yeah. I mean, I
Do you
remember,
remember
I was,
anything? I
what,
don't.
13, 14, 15, around that age. And it's like, our parents would go get a daiquiri or something. I'm like, Mom, get me like a little White Russian. And like, we thought we were hot shit. doing
Yeah.
that,
That was
you
so
know?
cool.
And I think too, and look, I mean, I love our parents. I love their generation, but I feel like they did not handle their feelings, and they did not process things well. They just would self-medicate or drink or whatever it was. And I just thought like, okay, if I'm stressed, I need to have a drink.
glass of
I
wine.
need to do this. Yeah. And my mom has been, God bless her, she's doing so good now. She has been more aware just in our situation of like, when you're stressed, you don't have to necessarily run a wine or,
Right.
I know it's easy to, and again, it's our culture, and especially living down here, it's like, why would you not?
Right.
But that was one of the things I did. I always, any excuse that I could get or to celebrate, I mean, whatever. That's
I know.
just
I
how
was
we
about
were
to
raised,
say, like,
you know?
it was celebratory. It's celebratory,
Yeah.
or it's like,
Yeah.
oh, I'm so stressed. Like, it
Like,
goes like on both
yeah.
sides and
And-
everything in between.
Yeah, I know. And then Taylor will say this too. He may have said it, but he's like, we drink at funerals. Like, you have
Yeah.
a party after, and like, you're throwing it back.
Yeah.
Jello shots, maybe. Like,
Like,
who knows? Like,
straight
and
up.
it's so true.
Yeah.
I remember and this is like when I really started seeing, like, okay, we literally do have alcohol at every single thing. Our kids' baptisms.
Birthday
Our
parties.
oldest birthday party, he spiraled one time, and that was a whole thing. And it's like, why did we need to have alcohol everywhere? But again, it was the
like,
norm for us.
it
Yeah, like
is,
that's how
yeah.
it is.
Adult drinks and kid drinks.
yeah. So we had kind of, We started dating, and again, I saw certain things like just in our when we were dating that he would do, and I'm like, okay, he was drunk, this, that. I always made up excuses.
Or he'll grow out of
Yeah.
it. We're young.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
everyone else is doing
And
it.
so it kept carrying on. We got engaged, we got married, and all that stuff. And there were times in our engagement, after he proposed, he literally like walked away and went and like hung out with some people at a table. We were at a restaurant in Baton Rouge, and it wasn't that he didn't want to be with me or celebrate, but he was just so far gone that he was like, oh, hey, like I'm from Chalmette, like what's y'all's name, whatever. And I'm like, dude, we just got engaged. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah. Look at me.
So what started to alarm me was that it was more than just the dating and the bar scenes. It was, like I said, our engagement, our rehearsal dinner. He like was wild, like told my grandma to like hush, and like it was all these random things. And I'm like, okay, so like really, when is this gonna stop?
Yeah.
You know, our wedding, like of course, the nerves, all this stuff. Yeah, like blacked out, like got sick, like, and I was by myself.
Yeah.
We left Maison Lafitte, actually went back to the Southern. I was by myself on my wedding night. And I'm like, there are times now where like I think that I am strong by saying that that's okay and that dealing with that is okay, but it's not. And I finally got to a point where once our kids started seeing certain things, and it got to a point where I was fed up. And it was more than just the college drinking, the stressful drinking, all this stuff. It was memories and things that we had that's shit that I can't get back. You know?
Did you ever, like in those moments, like of the engagement, like why did I freaking say yes? Or like on your wedding night, like why did he have to do this?
Yes,
and you get just so angry.
Well, yeah. There were times, and I would, and this is the thing, like there was so much remorse when he would wake up, like y'all tears, and you could just tell he was hurting so bad inside. And so I felt bad. Like, I'm like, okay, it's not like he wakes up and he's denying that there's an issue. It's just, and so that would kind of pull me back in. I feel
yeah,
like.
because you had hope.
Yeah.
You would
And I'm
see
like,
hope.
okay. And yeah, and hope for the future. Like, okay, we're not dating anymore. We're married. It'll stop. We're not, it's
had
not
a
just
baby.
marriage. We have 2 kids now. It's going to stop. And it never stopped.
Now, what did your friends say, your family?
So friends, I feel like were always supportive in a way because they're just like, he's drunk, whatever. And a lot of them were almost, I feel like a lot of people are in denial when they have an issue or
Yeah.
when there is an issue with anybody. So it got to a point where some of them were like, okay, like what's going on? Our parents did get involved here and there, but again, like the denial, I feel like a lot of people don't think that it was actually a thing.
Yeah. I just feel like friends at that point, like just you telling those like couple stories, like I know some of my friends probably would have been like,
I would have been like,
wait,
what the hell are you
he's
doing?
drunk one
Yeah.
night and then the next morning he's waking up and crying to you. Like he's a narcissist. Are you
Yeah.
kidding me? You
Yeah,
know?
or like
And
you
you're
were
like-
alone on your wedding
Yeah.
night.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. And like
I'm
they
gonna-
would get
And I
angry
even,
or
and
not
now
like
that I
him.
look back at that, like I don't even feel like, I mean, it almost got to be like to where it was like a joke. Like they're like, oh yeah, like he's drunk
Yeah.
again or like whatever. But it's like people didn't know what else to say or what else to do.
yeah, and it wasn't their problem.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, it's like,
Yeah,
that
it
ain't
wasn't.
my
Yeah.
husband.
Yeah. So, and I will tell you this, the person who I am today wouldn't have put up with that shit
No.
at all.
No.
And I mean, I love that because I know that I have grown as a person and
Yeah.
I've matured. Because I feel like, you go through life and you're like, oh, I remember when we were in college and high school and you feel like you're the same person, but you're not, So I love that for me because I just think I was just so vulnerable and just so immature. I wasn't confident in who I was. So I felt like, okay, I have a partner and all this stuff. And it's just like, that's kind of what I found my worth in. And like,
Yeah.
but I didn't need any of that. So things, I mean, just kind of like got out of control. I guess it started escalating when I got pregnant with our second. And it was just certain things, like he started hiding it to where it wasn't just like going to events and blacking out or getting drunk or whatever. It was, I was out at work busting my butt and you're at home drinking, like
Yeah.
for what, So that, then I was 8 months pregnant and I told this story recently on Instagram, but he got a DUI, he got pulled over. And I remember waking up and I'm just like, when is it going to end? Like I don't know why I was so hopeful for so long. I mean, maybe that definitely was part of our story because I don't know at what point it would have been it for me. I think this last like the last straw for us before it got better, that was the straw for me, I guess. At that point I was fed up and I'm like, okay, you're out the house. Like it got ugly.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, if you don't get it together, I have no choice. I can't do this to myself, to my kids. And our oldest was getting older to where she was seeing stuff and it was
Yeah.
upsetting her. Like I was saying, there was one time at her birthday party that he was just getting wasted and she would bring on so much anxiety. He would bring on anxiety to her. And that was hard to see.
Yeah.
You know, it wasn't just about me anymore. It was about the kids. It was about certain things. And I'm like, I do not want my kids growing up like that.
Right.
Yeah.
So
now, would she have conversations with him, or would you have to address it and say, like, did you see,
yeah,
you know,
a
what
little bit of
happened?
both. Like she would see certain things, and I'm like, Sophia, I'm like, he had a little bit too much, whatever. And I mean, for those who know her, she is like such a great kid, and I love her so much because there's no child that can handle what she has at her age. And everybody that knows her, I mean, you taught her, she's such a good kid. And I'm like, honestly, I don't know if it wasn't for her. I feel like I held on to everything for her to keep her family together. And
Making me
this.
cry over here. Cry
So,
break.
she was just always so kind and so forgiving and stuff. And I feel like that's what helped me get through it and helped me stay in it for so long. I wanted it for her so bad because my parents were divorced. And I just think she deserved a family that was together and that was put together. And so she was, yeah, I mean, she was great through it. I mean, yeah, it was
She was
hard
y'all's
for her.
like Jesus.
Yeah,
like
she really
we talked
was,
about
and-
childlike faith before, and
Yeah.
it makes when you said she was patient, she was forgiving, she was kind, and like that is how Jesus is to us.
Yeah.
And your little girl was that in your
Yeah,
household.
she
'Cause
was.
at the time. Like he had said, he didn't really have faith at all. But like, where was your religion at this point? Like, were you like on
Yeah.
your knees begging Jesus, or were you
So
kind of like?
honestly, I mean, like I said, we were raised Catholic, so it was almost like I was forced because I knew no other way.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, okay, like this is what I'm supposed to do, all this stuff. And then I fell off because I feel like I wasn't truly connected. And I didn't know Jesus the way that I know him now. Yeah, I didn't have a relationship with him like I do now.
Yeah.
And it was like once we hit rock bottom that I feel like we found him again. And I saw him in a whole new light than I ever did. And that's why I'm like, how did I live so long without him the way that I see him now? You know, because a lot of people, everybody has their different opinions and different relationships with him. But I feel like, you know, things or ways that you're raised as a child, a lot of people go different paths that work for them. And that's fine. Whatever works for you is great. And, but yeah, I think I was just forcing like a certain religion on myself, which
That
I
you
just
didn't really, like,
that I didn't. Yeah,
connect
there's
with.
certain things that I don't know, and has something like some of it has to do with my childhood and things that happened in my parents' divorce. And there's certain things that I'm like, okay, I don't agree with, but there's a lot of things all over that we don't
Right.
agree with. But as long as you have your relationship and it's good, that's all that matters. So yes, I fell off for a while. And I feel like that's when we were so broken and running to alcohol and running to all these different things and running to material things. And I'm like, now it has totally shifted. So in that moment, I mean, I think I was just, I kind of surrendered too, because at that point I'm like, okay, what else is there
What
to
else?
do? Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like clearly I'm either not doing this right or something was just off. So once I had kind of, once he was saved, is kind of when that turning point was for us. Cause I'm like that was our final option.
Yeah.
And I'm like, look at where we are today.
Now, did you ever want him to go to a treatment facility, rehab?
Yeah.
You know.
So probably this final straw that that kind of happened in his journey, after the DUI and stuff, there was, so when I found out he was drinking at home, all this stuff, I gave him that ultimatum and, we were considering it. But the thing is with his job, he's gone 28 days and y'all, I mean, he's the bread maker and it's hard. It's like, how would we survive having him having to go, I don't know what that would do to his job. Would it
Right.
put his job in jeopardy? I mean, I'm not sure. So we're like, let's try to do this on our own. If we can't, we knew that we would have to go that route. So totally, yes, it definitely crossed our mind. And I think that's why places like that are there. I think people are so ashamed of stuff like that. That's why they are there, to for you to seek help and to get that counseling and guidance and treatment that you need, you know,
Right.
because you can't do it on your own. I mean, we did it together, and I mean, we had other resources as well, but it's very, you have to fully
Yeah, it's
surrender and give up with that. So yes, it definitely was an option for us if it didn't work out kind of the way that we had to. So, you know,
I keep going back because like he had said, you know, that he didn't, and we were just talking about before we started with you that he didn't go to any like treatment or anything like
Yeah.
that, and that like truly he got saved and like
Yeah.
his life changed that second.
Yeah.
And it's just
And
like
after he said that, I said, wait, you didn't, like, that was it? There was no
like, that was
craving.
it.
There was no treatment. There was no, you go away for,
Yeah.
inpatient, outpatient, anything. And he's like, oh, that was literally it.
Yeah.
I'm
Which is like
how?
crazy,
yes,
but it just
yes.
shows like how powerful God is, and like he literally surrendered everything he told us in that
Yeah,
moment.
yeah.
And it's like that may not be everyone's same
path.
story.
yeah, and that's okay. Yes, and that's
but
okay.
It
'cause
just shows like how powerful giving, literally surrendering, and like you have to surrender. It's not just like,
Yeah.
okay, God, you can have this,
Yeah.
but like tomorrow I'm still gonna like it's not how
Yeah.
it works. Like he literally was he was at the point where he said he didn't want to wake up in the morning.
Yeah.
So that's all he had left.
Yeah.
Was that moment to just be like, okay, and then if you're real, then take it.
Yeah.
And
Take
did
it away.
Did he
Yeah.
ever like verbalize that to you until before he got saved, or not till after?
About not wanting to like wake up really.
Yeah.
Not really. I know he had some issues and stuff in college, but no, I really didn't know the full extent of that until all of this kind of came to the surface,
Yeah.
which I mean, I feel like things could have totally played out differently. I mean, I feel like at that point, if it's serious like that, we need to seek out help and stuff. So it makes me sad for him that he felt like he couldn't.
Yeah.
He carried that for so long. But yes, I did not know really up until probably about a year ago or so. So it's sad. People are fighting things that you have no clue about.
Yeah, you're
so-
literally married to him and had no idea that was like a true
Yeah.
thing that he was
And
feeling.
So, but about the part of him getting saved, what happened was we went to church one Sunday, and
So this was you that brought y'all to church. Were y'all?
Yes,
were you
yes.
regularly going? Was anyone?
we were
like,
regularly
okay.
going, yes. And then, but like I had mentioned earlier, at our church, we will it's a huge church. So you can sit at the top, you can sit at the bottom. And it's intimidating when you're going to a different church than you're used to going to and all that stuff. Yeah. And so y'all, we were up in the nosebleeds, girl. And I was like, okay. And you feel kind of uncomfortable in the beginning and all. So we slowly start making our way down like every other Sunday. And my mom actually had kept the kids because at that point things were like really tense and there was a lot going on. And we're like, okay, is this going to work? Is it not? How are you feeling? Like there was so much that we were handling. She's like, look, y'all go to church, just y'all two. I got the kids. They can sleep over by me. So we went, and at the end you can get prayed over. And he is not one to ever want you to know. He's like, no. And I'm like, we're going. And when we went down there, the woman who prayed over him literally had a similar story, dealt with addiction. Like the fact that we were paired up with this woman over everybody else that was standing up there. And so at that point, he said is when he felt it literally ripped off. And I just felt like from that point on, everything was just smooth sailing in a sense to where, it wasn't perfect.
Well,
like,
yes.
I'm not saying it was a miracle, but it wasn't like, okay, everything's gone. Like, oh, it was just, life was so much easier and it was so much more peaceful. And we're like, okay, now that we've literally surrendered and became vulnerable, you cannot hold on to that stuff. Like it will eat you alive.
Yes.
It will eat you alive. And that's what it was doing to him, to our marriage, to everything. So that is where I have found the most peace. And that's why we're so open with our story too, because you have to.
Yes.
You are going to, the devil is going to come at you from all different
Angles,
areas,
like
all different
everywhere.
angles. Yeah. And it's like until you truly surrender and give it to God. And so, yeah.
Amen.
Amen. That's what he did. And yes, from that point forward, things were just easier. Again, it's not that things were perfect. We have issues today. Like our life is not perfect. And that's what we want to show people. Because there can be so much peace and so much healing when you just give it up, and you cannot control your life. You cannot control the things that are happening, and what you want for your life and what God wants for your life is probably going to be two totally different things.
Yes.
But you cannot put a price on that. You cannot put, like I'm saying, once you feel that feeling and that peace, you just want that for everybody.
Yes.
You know?
And you don't want to ever not feel it.
Yeah.
Like when you have that peace in your heart and you know, like, God's got you, this is your story, whatever comes next, you're going to take it on like a champ. Like you have this different kind of confidence. Yeah. Like you just want everyone to feel that.
You do, because you see it, and especially in our world, how people are hurting and how backwards our world is now. And I'm like, look who they've pulled out of everything.
Right.
Is God.
And I was talking to my cousin about this the other day. I'm like, if they, whoever they is.
I was about to say, who's they?
I don't know who they are, but they're out there. But if God wasn't real and they didn't believe in God, why would you remove them?
I know.
Like, why? Because they're scared.
They're scared.
Because they know how powerful he is, and they know that he does exist, and he is changing lives. And they is actually the devil. Satan himself is out there doing these things. But it's like, if he wasn't real, then why would y'all be having such a fuss about it?
I know.
Because the devil knows that God's working and he's working, and they're just, but God always wins, and he will always win.
Yes.
And people out there want us to believe that God doesn't exist, or people don't believe in God anymore. And no, God is everywhere. There are so many believers and so many people that are living and on fire for Jesus that are out there. And like, I love seeing us all just coming forward and using these platforms to do that, and y'all's testimony to do that, because people feel alone and they feel like, oh, I'm the only one, or this could never be me, or I could never. And like, y'all are walking proof that y'all went through darkness, like y'all, but at that time, y'all weren't clinging to God. And the enemy was in your home. Like, and he knew how easy it was to get to y'all, because y'all were just, come on in, the door's wide open. And then as soon as y'all said, God, this is yours, you can have it, we don't want it.
Yeah. That was it.
I mean, am I right?
You're right, girl.
Oh.
Yeah. When things get hard now, like when you have, when he has hard days, when y'all have dark days, what does your support for that look like?
So I will say the dark days are slim, which is great. But I do say, and again, this goes back to God. And whenever we have darker days or stressful days or anxious days or whatever, it's literally when we're not in church, when we're not reading our Bible, when we're not worshiping, like all of that stuff. And it just is proof. Like that is all you need. So that is what helps us. That literally is like a reset. We had a conversation the other night, like a whole therapy session. And I'm like, you're just in this mood. I'm like, when you're on the boat and you're isolated, you're like all into your Bible, you're doing this, you're doing that. I'm like, when you come home, yeah, it's all fun and we want to hang out with the kids and all, but I'm like, you have to stay consistent with it.
Can't get distracted.
You literally, you feel it in your body, you feel it. And that is what helps us get through it, and surrounding yourself with the right people. I do believe too that we've come across a couple people who are kind of dealing with similar things, and you can't, if you have an issue, you can't, like, just don't walk into a bar. Like I used to get anxious with him. Like we'd go out to events or whatever, and I'm like, we really shouldn't be putting ourselves in this situation. So I think that's something.
At least until you're strong enough in your walk with it to say, like, no, I'm good. I'm good here.
But when you're on that journey,
no, thank you.
It's like
you can't.
You
and
can't
I know.
put yourself in situations that could harm you.
Yeah. And if your friends or your family are wanting you to do otherwise, then they don't want what's best for you.
Right.
So I think too, during those darker times, and now when things get a little stressful, you know, we look at our surroundings and we're like, what are we?
Where are
things
we?
that, and I never believed this until all of this, what you consume, totally. Like, y'all, it could even be rap music. Like, I like to rap, girl. Like we love it. We were up in the club, like, that stuff though, like the enemy can get to you through those
He is
things. And
sneaking
I
in those
never,
lyrics, I'll tell y'all. He is in those lyrics.
I'm going to sidebar for a second. The other day, I was listening to, I went to the Lainey Wilson concert. And and she was talking about God and her journey and everything. And it was wonderful. But like, you know, she sings Watermelon Moonshine. She's talking about alcohol and her first time having sex. Like, we're just going to, that's what it is.
Lainey.
Y'all, I've never seen so many little kids. They were up on the chairs going, Watermelon Moonshine. I'm like, these girls have no idea what this is.
No.
And I'm
That was like us. What you doing? Nothing, chilling at the Holiday Inn.
said,
who you with? Like, we were like out there in 6th grade.
Yeah,
like,
lollipop,
so
Little
then-
Wayne.
yes,
Like,
what
what?
I said. So I literally looked at my friend and I was like, I mean, I'm just like looking at all these little girls going drinking Watermelon Moonshine. And then I thought to myself, we used to like Bluetooth ringtones of "I'm in love with a stripper."
Literally.
Oh my
Or
god!
like my goodies.
It's like
my goodies.
goodies.
Like, I'm like, wait, hold up.
My
that was my
milkshake brings all the
ringtone.
boys to the
Yeah.
yard.
right. And I mean, we turned out all right, but it's just.
But it's true though, and like I don't know if you saw my stories the other day on Instagram. I literally was talking about like I went to the Forrest Frank concert, and before I found his music, I was in this really uncomfortable, weird like, what do I do in my car? Because I am like, I could sing every single word to Lil Wayne Lollipop remix right now.
Cardi B, Bodak Yellow.
All of it. But
Right here.
I got to a spot where I was like, I'd be singing and I'm like, I don't like it.
Yes.
But I like the beat, but I
Yes.
don't like what's coming out of my mouth.
Yeah.
And it's just like whenever Taylor was in here and we talked about just like after you do get saved and like give your life to God, things start to like slowly change and things slowly get picked out and you're like, huh, you're taking my rap music?
Yeah.
But it was loud and clear, like this music is not for you.
Yes.
So I would worship or I would be in silence. And like the day I heard the Forrest Frank song on Instagram, I was in the bathtub scrolling.
What,
I sent it. No, it was Good Day.
Good
The
Day.
first
Oh,
one I
the
heard
first
was
one.
Good Day.
Yeah.
And I sent it to you and I was like, listen to this song. And you were like, oh my gosh, that's a good song. And that night I went in a Forrest Frank rabbit hole and I was like,
God is
I
good.
all the time. And I'm like, hey.
Then you
And
know.
all of a sudden I'm like, wait a second. So I started following Forrest Frank. I found a couple other people, but his music still just, it's the best.
We were getting hyped to that this morning,
It is
actually.
so good.
It's so good.
And my kids listen to it in the car and
Yeah.
they're singing like God is good.
Yeah.
And I'm like, gosh, how crazy.
That's what they need to
like,
hear.
This is
Yeah.
what they need to hear. What you
believe.
consume is what you are.
Yes,
And
yes.
if you're at the Holiday Inn in the hotel room,
With
doing
Chingy.
it, like, I don't want to be with Chingy. I want to be with Jesus, okay? That was a sidebar,
That was
but
so
that was a
good.
good
It was a
sidebar.
I'm sorry, but like
No,
literally,
but it
That's been on
totally,
my heart
I did
lately,
not
though.
know. I love that. And I never really believed that because I'm like, okay, how does what I look at or what I, even television, we barely watch TV anymore. We'll watch like different podcasts and stuff, or like, I like documentaries and stuff,
Same.
but yes, things that you consume, it totally gets into your soul and your
pores,
body.
like
Yes.
it's like what you are,
You
like you
can
just
feel it,
said,
yeah.
like, and it's crazy, but it's. I used to be like, I don't care that I'm
Yeah.
singing this song. I don't mean that. I'm just
Yes.
singing it because I like the beat.
Yeah,
Like
but
there's
it
so
does
many
matter.
times I would like feel conflicted with a song, and I'm like, but I like the beat. And God knows I like the beat. He knows I like to dance. Like, and I would make excuses similar to like you even being like, I'm saving him. I'm strong
Yeah,
for being
yeah.
alone on my wedding night. I deserve
Yeah.
a trophy. I'm strong. Look at me. Like you make these excuses and that's Satan. That is
Yeah.
the devil.
Oh,
Like and
totally.
you're like, he's like, you're so strong. Look at you. You're alone. And you're like, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I can
I'm
handle this. Like
strong.
I am not getting a divorce. I'm like fighting
And
through
you
this.
saying
and
today you would never do
Oh,
that.
I would never. Yeah.
Because now you know you are
Yeah.
strong.
Yeah.
And God is like, girl, you
I got you.
deserve the
Yeah.
world. I got you
Yeah.
in the palm of my hands.
I love this. And that is one reason why we kind of started this whole entire thing that we're doing, because we know that you have to surround yourself with the right people. Every single thing, like we just said, that you consume matters. So what better way than to elevate sobriety, elevate the
love
sober
it.
social scene, whatever you may call it. Because when you put yourself in that situation, or you go to a club and you're trying not to drink, well, what are they going to give you? Shirley Temple, whatever. Or it's, why are you not drinking? Like, why don't you want to go out? Why don't you want to do this? And it's like, why does that matter?
Yeah.
Like, why is that the norm?
Why is it if you're the one that's not drinking, you're uncool?
Yeah.
Or
Or
like,
you're weird.
so you don't want to have a drink tonight? Like, why
Yeah.
not?
It's
And I'm
really
like, 'cause I
hard.
don't- yeah.
It's really hard. And it's hard to be like the one that's like, I don't want to go out. Like,
Yeah.
because I don't really feel there's anything for me there
Yeah.
anymore. Like,
Yeah.
I don't want to go to the club. I don't want to watch people take shots. Like, I'm
Yeah.
just, unfortunately, like, I may not be your cup of tea anymore because that's just not
Yeah.
what fills me up. That's not what I want to consume.
Yeah.
Like, I'd rather be like laying in bed reading a book.
Same.
And that's kind of feels weird. Like, and it's hard for like even like friends to like understand that have known you forever as like the party animal, or like, what, you're not staying up or you're not staying out. And like for Taylor, like he was the leader, he said, of his like group.
yeah.
And he
Yeah.
was like, come on, let's go, let's take shots, let's
We're
do
going till
this.
5 a.m.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Oh, yeah.
And like for that table to turn,
change, yeah.
and like then he was talking about like losing friends because
Yeah.
you have nothing in common anymore. And that's a weird, hard pill to swallow
Yeah.
as an adult. Like, oh great, we're not friends. We are not going to be friends anymore because we don't have anything in common
Yeah.
besides something that I no longer want for me. So it's so cool that y'all are like even just giving this community of Covington and Vanderbilt just somewhere to go to feel safe and just be
Yeah.
like, I just want to hang out with my friends.
Yeah.
Just
I
want to
know.
talk.
Yeah. So we really had just kind of started that based on what was lacking in our journey. And I knew that would bring him healing too. And I'm like,
Yeah.
again, with going into like your purpose, we have jobs and we have this and that, but we're like, we work so hard. Like, what can we do that's ours? That's like leaving this legacy for our kids. That's something that is, we don't have to be ashamed or hide, or we're not putting on a front or whatever. It's like, it is what it is. And nobody was doing it,
Yeah.
you know?
Right.
So I feel like we started with that, the rental mocktail bar. And then from there, it just kind of grew, and it's literally taken off, and it's incredible. So
Now,
that
whose
is-
idea was it? I don't even think he even told us this.
Okay, so we
Yeah, like where
kind
did
of,
it stem from?
I feel like a little bit of him, but I think too, we had just like, we were kind of in a place to where, you know, he had gotten saved and we were in such a good place, but we still were like, okay, we're working for other people. Like,
Where do we fit in?
yeah. And I
Like,
just feel like there
where-
was just more. And again, you want to give back. Like, he's like, I want to mentor people and do this and do that. And we're like, how can we shake things up?
Yeah.
Because I know, like, if you make, and I mean, you know, the wrong things, this wouldn't be proper, but you can make anything trendy or cool.
Right.
And people will gravitate towards it. So I'm like, trying to make that to be more upscale and elegant and make you feel
Yeah.
good and have a community that's like, dude, it's okay if you don't want to drink. It's okay if you do this. If it's okay if you're an alcoholic. It's okay if you've done drugs, whatever it may be. Like, it's okay. We've all dealt with stuff. Everybody handles
Yep.
things differently. And we're like, why not?
A
Yeah.
safe
Cool.
space.
Yeah.
That-
So
I just love that.
yeah. So that's kind
Somewhere
of
you
what
can be authentic.
Sometimes though, like if I am in a spot that I don't want to go like rage, or like if I want to go to a dinner with my friends. Oh, this actually happened a few weeks ago. I went to New Orleans with a handful of friends and I drove, so I had to drive home. So we get there and they like ordered a bottle of wine and they're like, "Do you want a glass?" I'm like, "No, I'm driving." Like, and they're like, "We can just have one glass." I'm like,
Don't want
"I
to.
don't really want to. Like, I'll just."
Yeah.
But then I was like, "I'll order a mocktail." Like,
Yeah.
just
to
because
fit
I
in.
because I
Yeah.
literally
Yeah.
like felt left out.
Yeah.
And so it's even in those moments and
Yeah.
you know, people being pregnant, like
yeah.
Yeah.
baby showers, and there's alcohol there, but the mom can't drink. And it's just
Yeah,
you know,
that was baloney at
find
my baby
yourself-
showers. Like, oh, y'all having mimosas, and I'm like,
I know.
okay,
yeah, but it's just
enjoy your
Yeah.
drinks.
yeah.
And I think that's what's great about it is it can hit so many people.
It
Like, yeah, it
can.
started off with sobriety and something that was like so dark, but like, yeah, it can hit preteens to where we're teaching them like, hey, look, you don't have to turn to alcohol when things get rough. You can deal with your feelings. That's what our whole mission is, or what I
Yeah.
like to say. You have to do life, like you have to do life properly. You have to do it with people who have the same values as you. And it's okay. Like, life gets messy. Life
gonna.
is, yeah, but that's where the good stuff is. Like, that is totally where the good stuff is. And that was one thing I'm like, we need to be that example for our kids because I don't want them turning to those things. Like, look, if you're having a bad day, talk to me. Like, you don't
Yeah.
have to go and drink or self-medicate or whatever. So I think just trying to start that for these next generations and help, I feel like, our generation, because a lot of us, there's more people than we realize that are going through what we went through.
Yeah.
Yes.
Now,
So-
I don't know if you've thought this far yet, and you know, I've seen some other families go through this, but you know, you have kids that are going to grow up and that are going to go to 8th, 9th, 10th grade, and their friends are going to be dabbling, and they might be curious about it. And have y'all talked about what that looks like? You know,
Yeah, I think honestly, just from the kid, Sophia, our oldest, knows more about it because she's seen it.
Yeah. Right.
Our youngest, he will see certain things, like if we're doing marketing and stuff on social media, like the video that I posted of him. He's like, he's like, Dad has a beer in his hand. And I'm like, yeah, Dad has a beer in his hand. So they kind of understand kind of.
Oh, you
pretty
mean
much
the video of him getting
Yes,
the night of the
when he had the
DUI.
beer.
Okay.
Yeah. So
and he's like,
they
what?
kind of understand kind of his journey and like what brought him to where we are and why we're doing what we're doing. So yeah, I think not that I just feel like they're have
aware.
no desire. Yeah. Like they're
you
aware
only
of what's
hope
going
and pray
on.
that your
Yeah.
mission reaches your own kids.
But
right?
yeah, and I feel like that's what, no matter, we always tell them, like, as long as you're telling us the truth, we're not going to get mad. Like, that's one thing, because I feel like a lot of stuff from my parents, because I always wanted to be
You didn't want to upset him. Yeah.
And I'm like, look, I don't, even our youngest, I'm like, dude, I know you're lying. And he's like, no, I'm not, no, I'm not. I'm like, what do I say? And he's like, tell the truth and you won't get mad. I'm like, that's it. That's all you have to do. So there's so many avenues that this can go down. And it just, the timing and everything was just perfect. So it was God's timing. So
yeah.
For sure. And like, you have to be prepared. Like, you know, they're probably gonna, or they may not, like, shoot, they may not, but they probably will like be exposed some type of peer pressure. And you can only hope that what y'all are doing now is going to change the course.
Yes.
Yeah. Cause had you not, and they had
them,
only seen what they saw for the rest of their lives, they might have followed down that same path. So now they have the example of like, wait a second.
Yeah.
This happened to my dad. Let me see. I'll take a sip, but that's it. Or what? Who knows? But I think that y'all are doing the absolute freaking best y'all can.
Thank you.
With what y'all are doing, and the example y'all are setting for these kids is humongous.
Yeah.
Like so cool.
I feel like their generation too is, there's things that are, I mean, alcohol is, it really is, when you look at the health aspect of it, it really is awful for your body. And we've done a partnership, with.
Look at us shaking our heads. Horrible.
No, I know it is, and that's one reason that once I gave it up for him to kind of help him in his journey, I looked into that side of it, and it's crazy that is something that we can like get on at any point, you know. But yes, I feel like the kids these days, there's a lot probably worse than what we even dealt with.
Yeah.
So I'm like, just kind of being that example and just trying to like just set the mark for them.
Yeah, for sure.
So yeah, but it's scary. I feel like we just have to be that example for them and equip them for what's ahead, because who knows, even by the time they get older, what will kind of be around.
Right.
You know?
And what do you, just as the supporter, like if there is someone going through this, whether it's a wife, a mom, a mother, a father, you know, watching their children go through this, or a friend watching their other friend, you know, what would be your best piece of advice?
For sure, give them grace, because they don't want to be the way that they are. I think it's a lot of inner demons and things that they deal with that it's like they just run to that because it's easy. It takes a lot to be a supporter. It takes a lot of vulnerability, that has zero reflection on you. And I feel like that's why a lot of people don't talk about it, or they're scared of what other people will think. But I'm like, once you get over that hump and you get past that, life is so beautiful, and the place that you're in now is so deep and so dark. And it's like, that's what we want for everybody. We want them to experience what we had. And life is so short. Like you cannot suffer in silence. So I really think the support that I would give is just, as long as you can hold on for them, and give them the love even when they don't deserve it, because that's what I did, and look where it led me. Had I not done that, where would we be? I probably wouldn't be married. We may not have our children.
Did you ever feel like he was choosing the alcohol and the drugs over you? Like, was that ever kind of like a sentence
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I feel like in the beginning, yes, because it's like, then why do you keep going back to it? You know? And I'm like,
did he ever really have an answer?
Not really. So I just think it's, and men especially, men deal with this. This is something for men. They are so prideful in everything that they do. They are not going to talk about it. So I feel like it's so easy for us to get angry and upset. And like, I mean, there were times where I'm like, why can't you stop? Like I would hound him, but that was not aiding to his recovery, you know? So I think just you have to suck up your pride, because I was like, again, I was always the strong one. I was this, I was that. Like I wanted to heal our family, but I also had to be everything that he needed. So I'm like, even if that makes me look like whatever, you have to be there for them. And yes, men especially, a lot of them are suffering. Some of them don't even realize that they have a problem.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think if you're able to kind of find those indicators, and with what we're doing, we just want to provide people a different outlet. Like, guess what? Maybe you don't give up alcohol and that's okay, but maybe you're having like a rough night. Maybe you just come and hang out with us once the bar side does open up. But, just having another outlet that's like upbeat and,
Positive.
cool and and positive. And it's just a community that we're building that we haven't found anywhere else. So that would be my advice. It's a lot of advice, but
it's great.
I totally
and I love,
think,
like
so
you
good.
said, give them the love and support and things even when they don't deserve it. And that like hits me because that's what Jesus does for us every single day. And we talk about that so many times that we just recorded an episode talking about God's mercy and grace that he gives us. And mercy is the act of giving grace when someone does not deserve it.
Yes.
And God gives us that daily.
All the time, and we take
little
it for
sins,
granted.
big sins, all the things we take it for granted, but we just know he's going to do it. So it's great. But like, it's so hard for us to do it for other people. And same with like just forgiveness and like him forgiving himself and letting, like you said earlier, like you can't hold on to that, and you got to like give yourself that grace. And it's the same thing. Like God gives us mercy, grace, and forgiveness on the snap of a finger. So we got to be able to do that for the people that we care about and love, and know that you knew you loved him sober. You knew he was an amazing person, and that there was something deeper causing him to get there. And you stuck around and you stayed there, and you gave him that support, that mercy, that grace, that love, everything he needed to see the other side. And like you said, like if you hadn't have done that, where would any of y'all be? Who knows? But God's glory on this one, because I mean, look at y'all. It's incredible.
His timing is always, he is always on time.
Always.
You will never
late.
You probably won't, never late. You will probably not see it as quick as you want to either, because I literally replay our story, our life, like having our daughter young, all this stuff that I thought was like an inconvenience or an obstacle or added so much to me. It led us to where we are today. Yeah, so it totally.
Yes. And now y'all are changing lives, man.
Yes, boo, we are
y'all
changing
are.
lives.
What about once?
You have good questions, girl.
Yeah,
you do have good
I'm
questions.
over here just like
no, but
sweating
I
it
feel
out.
like it's good.
Got it good.
You have like the
and then she's like asking the stuff we're supposed to ask.
Yeah, like
no,
it's real.
It's great.
No, it's
really,
good. You have the great questions, and then Bailey follows up with like a great little like, and then
positive dance.
It's a good little
Thanks. When we were saying and talking a lot about how you'll drink or do drugs and whatever to mask a lot of stuff that's inner.
Yeah.
Have those things like. Did you do a lot of tackling and talking about those things?
Did they surface?
Yes,
right.
Yes.
Yeah.
They did for him. I think it was a lot of combined stuff, because going back to men, they don't like to vocalize what's going on. So they bottle every single thing up until they explode. Yes. And he will do that now, even sometimes with the kids. Like he'll let things go, and I'm like, okay, why don't we like address this at when we need to address it? Do not let it build up, because that's when. So yes, I think it was kind of like just a ton of different things that he's dealt with from his childhood up until now. I mean, same thing with me. So yes, I definitely think that you have to let that stuff go. You have to bring it out. So yes, things have come to the surface, and that's like once we kind of had that come to the surface and we were on the same page with everything. And it's so easy for someone who's hurting, like myself at the time, to like attack him as in like, why are you doing this to me? This, that, whatever. But when you really work collectively and you see their side, and you give up your power of like, I always felt like and this is kind of not really kind to say, but I feel like I said, I was so strong and like, oh, I'm holding up the kids, I'm holding up our family, I'm doing all this. And so I'm like, like I felt like I could almost get away with anything, and I almost like had the power over him in a sense.
Yes, you're
wow,
like,
I don't think I've ever said that, but that's how I felt because I had the upper hand because I always did everything I was supposed to do.
Right.
And he was the one that was failing. But once I started not treating him like, okay, like you did this wrong, you did that wrong. Once I kind of got down to his level,
right,
that's when things changed too. So it's like having mercy, like we just said.
Yeah.
Because Jesus gives us that every day and we take it for granted. So it's like, if you never had the mercy that Jesus gave you, you know? So it is, it's been a wild ride and but it's been the best. I mean,
and it's only the beginning for y'all for like what's to come from, you know, the results now from y'all sharing the testimony and opening the store and all the things. Like this is the very beginning. When did y'all first like share his story publicly?
Yeah, it was probably like a little bit over a year ago.
Okay.
And that's one thing to our story. Like you always think like when you do stuff, like you have a certain business or whatever, you're like, okay, is anybody going to try and replicate this? But like nobody can replicate our story. And I feel so secure in what we're doing because it's like,
so
who's
authentic.
Gonna have, yeah, it is.
No one else.
And when you live authentically, you're not worried about people coming and stealing this from you and that and whatever. It's like, yeah, you have to live as authentic as you can. And everything else just falls into place. Yeah. So
like finishing off that question, like it's like, so in a year, look how much y'all have done and like how many lives y'all have already changed and touched in one year. And like you said, God's timing is so perfect. Y'all have so much life to live ahead of you. And this is a movement. Like y'all are changing lives.
I know,
girl.
we're so excited.
I'm so proud of y'all.
Thank you.
Okay, I don't want you to forget your question.
Oh, I'm not forgetting it.
I know, you never forget.
No. I was just going to ask, like, as you were walking through this journey with Taylor, like when you were feeling like really defeated or things weren't changing, did you have support from other family members and friends? Or
yes
did you
and
not
no.
and you were frustrated with what?
I think it was a little bit, it's a little bit of both.
Lonely.
I feel like it almost like the little boy who cried wolf. It's like this happened so many times. So at some point, it's like, how long can you put up with this?
Right.
But we had supporters. Then we had people who were just like probably tired of it like we were. So there was a lot of things that I dealt with on my own. And that is one reason why I'm so passionate about trying to help other people, other spouses, other children too. Children see more than you think that they see. And it's like, if we can create this community or to just kind of be that support system for everybody else, because everyone's pretty much affected by it in the family. And you don't get support from all areas like you would think you would.
Like a lot of denial from other family members of that's not really happening or.
It's a lot of denial. And I feel like, people are always wondering how it looks on them. It's a reflection of who they are, but it's like, that's not true.
You.
It's not about you.
But it's not about you. That's the
like even you saying like you didn't really want to share the story for a while because you were like, well, people are gonna think like we don't have a good marriage or like I'm weak
my
and I
husband got a
stayed
DUI.
with you and you went to jail. Like it's like all these thoughts of like what will people think? But like you said, who cares?
Not about you.
Who cares? It's not about them.
It's not about,
you can't. Like this is about and like people are probably and will like we even said that with us doing the podcast. Like people will talk about it and they will have negative things. But guess what?
You're fine as long as you
don't bother me because like we're out here getting messages left and right from people that are like, you are saving my life or you have changed my life. And that's what it's all about.
That's what it's all about.
And we were like, we just want to save one person. And that's what Taylor had said. He's like, I just wanted to save one person. And now look, like you're just like, okay, woo.
No, it really is. And when you get to where you're living in your purpose and you're truly content, not just saying that you're content, you don't care who's talking about you.
No.
I don't give two who thinks whatever they want to think about me because I am finally living in my purpose, in my truth. And I mean, like I said, the girl 5-10 years ago would have been like, they don't like me, whatever. But guess what? Jesus has my back.
He loves you.
We surround ourselves with people who truly have our best
Yeah.
interests at heart, who want to see us succeed.
Yeah.
And we're building this community of people who have walked through what we have.
And
And
y'all can relate, and y'all
that's
can just
it. So like I
Keep spreading
challenge
the good
people.
news.
Yeah.
Keep spreading
If
it.
you are feeling a certain type of way, look at your surroundings. Look who you are.
Yeah, take a step back.
Yeah,
and like,
take a step
look.
back and look, because I guarantee you it's like little tiny tweaks and you're going to be like,
Yep, and we've
It's
said it
ease.
time and time again.
The
The
weight that's
only
lifted.
opinion that matters is God's.
yeah.
The only person you should be living to please is God.
Is God.
The only person that you should care when you put your head down on that pillow at night, like, did I please everyone today? Did I do it? Because we're people pleasers. We both
too.
are like, whose
It's
feelings did I
it's
hurt?
awful.
But I'm like to a point where I'm just like, did I do everything God would have wanted me to do today?
Yep.
Check yes or no. If I say no, I'm asking for my forgiveness. Tomorrow's a new day. But like that is the only opinion and person that matters.
That matters. Yeah.
So when y'all are doing this stuff, like we were just saying, people they'll be like, oh really?
Yeah.
Cool,
Yeah.
good
Oh,
luck
you're
with
not
that.
drinking. Yeah.
Good luck with that. And you're like, great. I don't need luck. I'm blessed. This
Wait,
ain't
well,
luck.
what funny, because we did something during Mardi Gras where we had like a sober little bar thing out on the parade route, and I did it by myself because he was at work, and I had people that would come by and they're like, no alcohol, or like, I mean, what's the fun in that? And I'm like, But I will tell you, the people who are judgmental and who have nasty things to say are usually hurting inside one way or another, and it's
100%.
100%. Yeah,
Yeah.
100%.
It says more about them than it does about
Yes.
you.
And so I'm just like, okay. And but now I don't care, because I know what it's doing for us. I know what it's
Doing
what
for
it's
other
done.
people.
Yeah,
For
for
others.
others, and for others who are truly suffering. And if people like that, maybe you're the one that could have the problem or the issue, or like, I mean, what's the fun in it? What's the fun in living life authentic and living life sober, and like the experiences that we have now and things with our kids? Like, I just cherish so many more little things.
Yeah.
Like Taylor will make fun of me because our youngest is a boy, and I'm like, I just want to eat him up all the time, and he can do like the stupidest things, and they're like, him and my oldest are like, you just think like he hung the moon, like whatever he does.
did.
But it's
He
just
hung
that
the
I
moon.
appreciate that stuff, because I don't think I ever did before,
You're
because I was
present for
always,
it, yeah.
I mean, he could like knock over the cup and I'd be like, oh, it's okay. And it's funny. It's funny
the
when you
little
are totally
things.
living.
Yeah,
Yes.
the little things matter. So,
So-
whenever you stopped drinking for Taylor, was that hard?
It was in the
Like,
beginning.
what was that like for you?
Because I got to a point where I was drinking more to kind of numb what was coming with him.
Yeah,
If that makes
and you're
sense.
like, if he's drunk, I got to be drunk.
Yeah, and so I'm like, I know that he's gonna ruin this. Something's gonna get messed up. So I'm just like, all right, I'm gonna drink, and then
Get a
it won't
buzz.
feel as bad. It won't hurt as bad. And then I'm gonna wake up and be like, all right, like we're both sober now. Like, it is what it is. So yeah, I totally, like, would I say
Yeah.
I'm an alcoholic? No, but it got to a point where I
You were
abused it
abusing
because
it,
yes. I mean, whenever we would go out, like even just to dinner, like, and we always thought we had to get a margarita, get
Yeah.
this, get that. And I'm like, what were we doing?
Right.
And so, yeah, now it has made me more aware of like my feelings and certain things, and I don't. But yes, it was hard in the beginning. And I think too, people are like, well, why are you not drinking? But like, you don't have the problem. And I'm like, it's not about that though. You need to support your significant other too, because it's just gonna help that journey. But it actually taught me so much more about
you.
myself.
Yeah.
And now I'm kind of like, ugh, how
about
did I
what's
ever
important.
touch alcohol?
Yeah.
Because I know how happy I am now, how healthy I am now. And yeah, I'm not running from things. Like, I
Yeah.
face things head on, and I'm okay with it. And I'm going to tell everyone who's listening this, the more you do it, the easier it's going to get. Like, you tackling things that are hard, it's going to suck in the beginning.
Yeah,
and
it's
that's
tough.
it's okay.
Yeah.
But the more you are just honest with where you are and honest with yourself and deal with things the way that they need to be dealt with and do not run from them, it will get it's going to be second nature,
Yeah. That's so true.
Yeah.
I love that.
So that was kind of, where I mean, I did get crap for it, I feel like, at one point, because people are, again, why
Oh, yeah.
are you not? But I'm like, it doesn't matter about that. But I want to encourage people to be aware of people who maybe have a problem or whatever, because there are certain people that I feel like I asked him recently, we can go places now with alcohol and he's fine. But in the beginning, like, that wasn't the case. again, back to men, they're going to kind of mask everything.
Yeah.
He would say he was okay, but it did bother him. And I'm like, just be open about it, because you have the right to say, hey, this makes me uncomfortable. Them drinking in front of me makes me feel uncomfortable. That has no reflection on you. You have to heal. So like you have to put in that work and set those boundaries and expectations for whatever you need. So we talked about that recently, and that's, look, I keep doing this. Like
he's not there. Kayla, he is not there. He is downstairs. Taylor.
So yeah, so there's so many like different little compartments and different pieces of it so that's, you know, like I said, why we're here. We are just trying to put in that
and just be real, like showing people like, it was hard for me to quit drinking too.
Yeah.
Like that's all right to say, because like sometimes it's like the spouse or the friend or whoever is like, I know I should, but then like I don't have the problem, or I want to still have the margarita, or I want to still have the wine. Like you're just like, you know, I want to still do it, but your point being like you're just there to support him, and you're like, if he's not, I'm not. Like I want him to feel safe and comfortable and know we're a team and we're gonna tackle this together. But then you had to also face why are you not drinking? Why are you, like, you went through all that too, and it's okay to say that was hard, because it's not easy, especially here. People ask everyone. We talked about it earlier. Why aren't you drinking?
Yeah. I know that's what we're trying to break the ice with, is to make that not a thing. Like if you're drinking or you're not, who cares? No matter what's in your hand. I don't care if there's alcohol in it, whatever.
Or if there's not something in your hand. I feel like that's okay. You know, that's where it gets big. Like if you go to a restaurant and you don't order a drink because you just want to feel
Sometimes
good.
You just want a Diet Coke.
Right. Yeah. Or water. And it's
I like Diet
fine.
Coke.
And it's fine.
It's
like, I think it's honestly, it shows a lot of maturity too, because you're going against what's cool and what everyone else is doing. And when you finally do that for yourself, it's like, it's so free. It feels amazing.
Yeah,
so now,
it really does.
Yeah, I'm just like, no, I'm good. And I mean, at
you're
one
confident.
point, yeah.
You're
and
like, I don't drink.
I would at one point like kind of be like, well, I'm doing it to help him.
Yeah, there he is. On
And
that invisible Taylor.
And then I'm like, why was I doing that? But I always felt like I needed an excuse or like just to validate what I was doing. But you don't.
No.
Do what you want to do.
Oh, when even we were talking about like doing it for health reasons, or sometimes you're just like, she just was like having things,
you may just
and
want
she
to
didn't want to drink.
Yeah.
And to be able to, like, I've been there too, and I'm like, oh, I'm doing Whole30. That's the reason I'm not drinking. But like, we don't have to give an excuse for that.
You don't.
Like, just say, no, thank you. And then it's like, oh, you're not drinking? No.
Yeah. No, lately I feel like I've been out and about a lot. And so like when I go places, like, I'll have a drink or a handful during a day of sitting on the beach or whatever it may be. And so like I created the boundary for myself of not drinking during the week. Well, I went to lunch with some friends on a Monday and they're like, we've got wine. Like, what do you want? And I'm like, nothing. And they're like, why not? We're having one. And I'm like, because I just
don't want one.
I don't want one. Like,
So that's what, that's what we're here to do. We want to break the ice so that can just be something that's normal
and safe and normal. Yeah, just normal.
Love that.
So
the name of Dryoak.
Okay. So yes, initially, like I had said, we started out with a different name, and it was about, being sober and having a bar and all this other stuff. And I probably even can't say it now because of,
it's all
someone,
right.
Was playing games with me. But I will say this new name and it's just like a whole different mission. And it was God's name, because I'm going to tell you. So Dryoak. Once we had a rebrand, we sat down and we're like, okay, what are we going to name this thing? Do we do something with the word sober? Do we do something with bar? Do we do sobriety? Who knows? And even in sobriety, you have like the little triangle. You have there's like, I think there's something like when it's a zero or dude, people are probably going to roast me for saying this wrong, but it has like a slash through it. So there's other ways to like kind of say that you're sober or symbols without coming out and saying it.
Sober symbols.
So we're sitting there, and when I tell y'all this happened like this.
Snap.
Like
that.
Instantly.
If you're listening.
So we were like, okay, dry, meaning non-alcoholic.
Right.
Oak, which is a southern tree, which is
Louisiana.
deeply rooted, can withstand storms, hurricanes. He went through Hurricane Katrina, but just storms in life. Like life gets tough.
It.
So we're like, okay, an oak tree, like that would be, because we even play with like cypress, magnolia, but that's our dog's name. So we're just like dealing with all these southern, we wanted it to kind of have a bigger meaning than pride. Yeah.
Roots in Louisiana.
Roots, yes.
Yeah.
So, and deeply rooted to where it can withstand so much. So we figured out dry and then oak. And then we're like, okay, are we calling it Dryoak or the Dryoak? And then we're like, I mean, I don't know. You can have a the in there and it doesn't matter.
Right.
So we come up with that name. We do the sub logo, which is TDO. It's literally Taylor's initials to the T.
I saw
Cayla
it the other day. She
David
posted
Ohler.
it, and I saw the T and the O. And
She texted me.
and
She's like,
I
"What's
literally
his middle
texted
name?"
her separately. I said, "What is his middle name?" Because if
And
you
I'm
don't
like,
know this yet,
David.
you have to know. And I'm like, she probably already knows, but I have to know.
Yeah.
I love it.
And yeah, it's David, who's actually named after his uncle who had passed away. I think it was when he was younger. But it's like, think of that. Like, if his uncle hadn't passed away, he probably wouldn't have been named David.
After
Like
him, yeah.
every single thing
Led to that moment.
every
yeah.
single moment. Yes. So we came up with that, and then I was telling Kristen, actually, I was sitting in the backyard the day that we came up with that, and I had like a red cardinal like just fly and sit in our oak tree, and I'm like,
And who was it?
David.
it could have been David, but
David.
but it could have been, and it could have been Taylor's grandpa, he was very close with. He passed away right like during all the COVID craziness, and that's what we tell him. I'm like, he would be so proud of him. Like
Wow.
if anybody, they had a great relationship, and it feels so much more. Yeah, it just
It's
feels
authentic,
different.
yeah.
Yes, it does. So we're so excited. So yeah, we have rebranded, and then we are launching. We have our grand opening this weekend. So the whole concept, like I said, sober living, and just having that community for people. So our first location is going to be a non-alcoholic retail bottle shop. So we're like, okay, you're going in all these places, and yeah, just like for people who are in their recovery journey, it's all in your face. So
Yeah.
there's so many other options too that people don't even realize that are non-alcoholic. There's different things that you can add into drinks and stuff now that will naturally de-stress the body. Like ashwagandha, there's things that are like, it's backed up by doctors and science that are actually good for your body to
Right.
de-stress and unwind versus alcohol, you know? So we've done our research. We spent probably about a year tasting all kinds of things because a lot of it
That's cool.
is, you know, it's
Yeah.
like, it's really
Gross.
hard to do, to execute. So, that's what we have done. So that is our first kind of thing. And then from there, we want to kind of have like a little lounge area
Yeah.
to where people can come and relax and just like, yeah, it's not alcohol.
A hangout.
you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. I love it.
So
It's amazing. Have y'all ever thought about creating your own non-alcoholic beverage?
yes. So we have, we looked into it actually before we rebranded, and thank Jesus, we did not go ahead with it because we
Yeah.
would have literally had
Had
to
to
pull everything. And
Yeah.
it's not cheap to do that. So yes, we did at one point. We could in time. I personally think that this is going to kind of go. Could it turn into a franchise? Possibly. We've just had so much overwhelming like support, and I'm
Yeah.
like, if we can start this and take it everywhere,
Yeah.
great.
Great.
And
Let's
then
do it.
as far as, excuse me, I had a little go. Motivational speaking and stuff. Like I want him and that's what I'm trying to push him into. He's living out his purpose, but I'm trying to light a little fire under his
That's what
butt.
we're here for. We got
Yeah,
to light
yeah, a
fire under
little
their
fire.
butts.
Yeah. So I'm like, the way that you carry yourself, our story can literally change lives. Nobody's out there doing what we're doing.
Right.
Right.
You know?
I told him earlier, I said, you know, when I hear you talk or you walk in a room, like you are literally a light bulb. Like your
He
energy is just very
Yeah.
He really
positive,
is.
bright, and contagious. And you know, a lot of people are probably like, what's that man drinking?
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah,
like
what?
It's nothing.
nothing,
Spirit of
right?
Jesus.
Water.
Right? Like he is just living in his full
He
purpose
is.
of,
He is.
and he's happy and
Yes.
he's doing
He's
what
beaming, yeah.
what he
You can
needs
just
to
tell
do.
He's confident in who he is and like what he's
know.
living right now.
It's awesome. So yeah, I definitely think
So you want him to go speak more? Is what
yeah,
you're
I
saying.
think too, like that's where I kind of see this going is for sure what we're doing in our first location kind of blowing up because, and I don't know if he hit on this, but that's what I did a mastermind like Q&A thing recently, and they had asked us that, like, what's your biggest block like in your life, in your business, whatever, but to make the money and the income that he makes right now is hard. And I feel like that was one thing that kind of held us back for a while because we're like, can we make the money that he makes now doing something on our own, you know,
Right.
whatever that was going to be. But I truly think that it's going to
God will
happen.
provide, yeah.
He will provide.
You're
yeah.
doing what he's calling y'all to do, and
Yeah.
like it sounds so like, oh, he'll provide. It's scary, like finances, money,
Yeah.
but like it's not about the money.
Yeah, yeah.
You know,
not-
it's
yeah.
not. And I like, and certain in Jesus' name he will be able to get off that boat. Even if, I mean, he might like the boat, so I don't
Yeah.
know. But
Yeah,
he'll be able to, y'all, this is going to take over. This is going to be your source of income.
Yeah,
this is going to
absolutely.
be your life.
And
This
that's
is
what I
it.
told him. We talked the other night. I'm like, what would be like your best case scenario is coming home and not having to leave your kids anymore, not having to leave us, and then we can blow this thing up to where
Yeah.
it's ours. Like it is literally, you talk about a legacy all the time. And I feel like it's so easy to use that word. And I'm like, okay, like what will we do for our kids that like is a legacy? Like you want people to know who you are and you have
Yes.
made that big of an impact. Like think
Yes.
of all the people that I told him even about his grandpa. I'm like, think of all the people who knew your grandfather and like the businessman he was. I'm like, you can be that.
Yeah,
Like
that's
you totally
so
can.
true.
So
And like,
that
look, it
is-
may
yeah.
take a second of y'all like
Yeah.
having no money or like taking a, but that's like what, those are the moments God brings us to that you're just
Yes.
like, okay, we have nothing, but it's yours, God.
Well, you
Like,
find
we
clarity,
love
and you find clarity in your purpose, and
do,
and
yeah.
what the root and the true
Yeah.
meaning of what you're
it's
doing
worth
is.
it because
It's
you're
totally
just
worth it.
like,
And
you
then, like you're
said,
saying, you're at peace, and you could go live on the street,
yeah, and
and
I'd be
you would just have
fine.
to you'd have to
she's
change
a
your
little
lifestyle
tank.
a little.
I need a little tank, girl.
Give
Yeah,
her a
you'd have
tank
to change your
at least.
lifestyle a little,
For the
but like
rain.
My back would be sweating like it is now, girl. But it's okay.
Yeah, we need
but
the
yes,
tent.
it's crazy to me. But you just have to. It's little baby steps. The more you do it, the more
It makes
It
sense.
totally makes sense. And
One
I
at
will
a
tell you,
time.
it's a feeling you cannot describe.
Mm-hmm.
So all I can say is just yes, trust in God, trust in what He has for you. You may not see it now. You may not see it 3-4 years
Right.
from now, but you
Maybe a
will.
decade.
It will. It could. Yes, it could. And I mean, yeah. I mean, I think about where I was in the way beginning with him, and I'm like, look where we are. What 15 years or so later, and I'm like, you always are looking for a reason, and
Yeah.
it always plays out on
Just-
his time. And if you force it
Absolutely.
otherwise, girl, it ain't gonna happen.
It's gonna, something bad's gonna
No.
happen. Look,
I know.
We've all learned that.
yeah.
And you
The
know what?
hard
I'm
way.
gonna
Unfortunately.
give one other little
Listen
point.
up.
One other little point that I was told the other day is, I always felt too, like once we got to this point, well, not always felt, but recently, I'm gonna take that back, that, I didn't deserve the success or like things that were coming my way. And the coach that I had on the other end was telling me, he's like, look, you have dealt with chaos your entire life. And you are now like, you're going to self-sabotage your own self and
Yeah.
what you can do because you're constantly dealing with chaos that you're just going to ruin everything good that's coming. And this is what I'm going to say. We're going to leave it on here and then we're going to mic drop. Okay.
Okay.
Ooh, I
The
love-
devil is going to, when you are about to level up and like we are there, the devil is going to come at you from every damn angle and you feel it. And he's like, Cayla, you feel that now.
Yep.
Like the devil is literally on you because he's like, you are about to shake ground for so many people and he does not want you to do that. And
Oh,
I'm like,
no.
dude, that makes so much sense. And I just like cried and then everything was good. But that's you
it.
cannot underestimate what the enemy can do. I
Yeah.
feel like people
He is
sometimes
fully
don't
capable,
believe
yeah.
that. Yeah, he's capable
He
of what
is.
he's doing.
And
so
when he sees people like y'all about to spread the good news to
Yeah.
all these people, he's like,
He's coming to get us,
I
girl."
am coming. I got my troops and we're attacking. And you were feeling that. But guess what?
Yeah, because you
clear
will
as day.
you will
Not today, Satan,
self-sabotage.
not
Yes.
today.
You have, because I could sit here right now and literally put doubt in my mind.
Oh,
And
yeah.
say, is this going to work? Like we actually, everything that we've done with this business has been our own money. We haven't taken out any loans because I'm like, with the economy and the way everything is right now, I'm like, let's just go ahead and do it on our own if we can, slow and steady.
Yep.
And that way we don't owe anything. And that's the way we did it. But I always will kind of have some self-doubt. And I'm
Yeah.
like, is this
For sure.
a good thing? Are we doing it the right way? What if this fails?
But
And
I
I'm
think,
like,
what ifs.
the what
Yeah.
ifs. I had a lot of those thoughts lately, like with my big change, and it was, I was scared. I was so fearful of like, well, what's gonna happen when the paycheck doesn't come every 2 weeks? What if I can't pay myself? What if I don't book an event? And then someone that is a very successful business owner looked at me and said, that is going to keep you going.
Yes.
You just
Yes.
trust to what God is telling you. You cling to that word. You put your feet on the floor and you get out of bed every day and you just keep
He will provide.
going.
Yes.
And God, if you listen to that, God will provide for you. And
He will.
ever since she said that, like I said, when my
you
bank
don't even-
account's
yeah.
getting low, I'm like, okay, Jesus, you told me to do this and
Here we
I'm doing
go.
it, but it's
Boom.
not like what's going
Yeah.
on.
Yep.
And he provides every time.
It's so
Every-
true.
it's so
God is
true.
good
all the
all
time.
the time.
If he ain't, then you lying.
In the rain, in the shine.
Go
That
to
is
the
good.
Dryoak.
That's good.
Y'all,
All the
this is
time.
great. All right. Well, thank you for being
Thank
here.
you, Cayla.
Seriously?
Having me. I said us, but thank
Well,
you for
we
having
had y'all,
me.
and now if you're listening to this, you already hopefully listened to the other. If you haven't, go listen to the other. But we really thought it was so important to bring both sides of this on, so that we can have so many different people relate to y'all's story and just help y'all.
The
spread
supporters
word.
are so important.
Yeah, so
so
important. So
They
thanks,
are.
yeah,
girlies.
thank you, Cayla.
You. I love y'all.